Good morning. Welcome back to our study of Mark chapter 1. Today we will be looking at verses 36 and 37. They say, "And Simon and those who were with him searched for him, and they found him and said to him, 'Everyone is looking for you.'" Now, this is an interesting passage because one of the first things it tells us is that Jesus has managed to find a place where it was even hard for his own disciples to find him. Now, eventually they did, but still, it seems by the way that Simon speaks here that it took them a little while, that they were searching. And they're not the only ones that were searching, there were others that were searching for him. And so, again, sort of continuing on the theme that we talked about yesterday about the idea of being alone with God, spending time in prayer. Again, this is something worth pointing out, that there are times where it is good for us to get alone with the Lord, to just spend time with Him and with nobody else but Him, to focus on prayer and focus on our fellowship with Him. You know, something I hear people talk about all the time nowadays is everyone is so busy. There's a sense in which, like what Simon says here, it's true. Everyone is looking for us. Everyone wants our attention. I have 3 daughters, and they want my attention, especially my youngest one. She's very young. She's a baby, and so she's always wanting attention. She has to be taken care of, and there's a sense in which that's right, but my bigger point is that it doesn't stop. There's always people who are looking to take up your time, and sometimes that's good. It's right, but sometimes it's just a distraction. And Jesus, I think, shows us that there are times where you have to get away. You have to get away from the crowd, even the people who are, like his disciples, close to him, and be with the one who matters the most, who is the Lord. Now, the other side of this is that it's often this thing within the Gospel of Mark where oftentimes there's this sense where the crowd is both a blessing and a curse in some cases. You see this more as you go forward, and we'll actually see this in a few days when we talk about Jesus cleansing the leper, that sometimes, even though the crowds are fine and they're good, sometimes they get in the way. Sometimes they are in some sense seeking to control what Jesus does. And that may be a little bit of the underlying theme of that going on here because of what Jesus will say in verse 38. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But this idea that, people are trying to get a hold of Jesus, to control him, for him to do what they want him to do. Now, obviously, what they want him to do is more of what he was doing the day before. Casting out demons, healing the sick. Good things, but that's not necessarily what Jesus knows he needs to be doing right now. And as we'll see tomorrow, there's even more that needs to be done. That he can't just stay in Capernaum. He has something else that he must do. But how does he know this? Where does this come from? I would suggest it comes from spending time with the Father, understanding what his mission is, understanding that he must be about doing the will of God and not the will of the crowd. Brothers and sisters, there is always a danger of being under the control of popular opinion. And if you have a hard time seeing that, I will simply point out the fact that in the last 20 years, popular opinion has shifted so dramatically on certain things that it would make your head spin. There are positions that committed Christians take nowadays that are anathema, that are outright condemned by popular opinion now. And it just seems the further we go, the more that becomes true. And there are some people within the church that would say, well, perhaps we need to listen to the culture. Perhaps we need to listen to popular opinion. And my response to that is no, we don't. We need to continue to listen to Jesus. We need to continue to listen to the Spirit, to the Father, as Jesus did, even when that means we are doing the thing that everybody else doesn't want us to do. There are a lot of people out there who say, well, if the church would just do A, B, and C, then, a lot more people would be drawn to it. But here's the thing about that. Most of the time when a church decides to go along with popular opinion, actually the reverse happens. Most of the time when they decide to just stop listening to the Lord and go along with what people are saying, people tend to stop showing up. And I think the reason for that is, one, is because God is not honored in that, and so God doesn't bless that, but also because if we're saying the same thing that the world is offering, then what in the world? What's the point? Why would anybody listen to us? But when we stand for biblical truth, when we stand for the gospel, then we're offering something unique for the world, truth that is only found in the church. That is something that people are looking for in a world of confusion and chaos where people just don't know what to think. When the church stands up with a clear message and doesn't just go along with the crowd, the church stands out. That's what Jesus did. Jesus stood out because he didn't do what everybody wanted him to do. He did what he knew was right and what God wanted him to do. So, brothers and sisters, just because everybody's looking for your attention, just because everybody's wanting you to do a certain thing, consider the example of Jesus. Even when people that he cared for, his own disciples, were trying to find him to do something that they thought he should do, he said, no, I'm doing what I need to do. Whether or not we do that is something that you're going to have to work out between you and the Lord yourself. I hope and I pray that not only you, but also your church continues to follow God's ways and not merely the opinions of everybody else. Have a good day, brothers and sisters.